In this lesson, we are going to read and write thousandths as decimals and as fractions. You will also be able to represent or interpret thousandths in models or in place value charts. And finally, be able to take a fraction that has a denominator as 1,000 and write it as a decimal. If we take this first number line here, and we're counting from 0 to 10, if I wanted to count by tenths instead, I would need these 10 spaces in here to go 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, all the way up to 10/10, which is 1. Then I could go 1 1/10, 1 2/10, 1 3/10, and so on. But that kind of squishes it together. So I'm going to put my 0 here and my 1 way down here. And then I can make 10 tick marks and spread it out a little bit. So these 10 tick marks are now these tick marks right here. So it's this little line, space right here is blown up into this whole line. So now I have this 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/10, and when I get to 10/10, I'm at 1. Now if I wanted to write hundredths, well, I would have had to put 100 little lines in here, or once I started counting by tenths, if every one of these had 10, so 10/10, 20/10, 30/10, 40/10, eventually I get to 100 this way. So if I'm counting by tenths and there's 10 spaces in here, then this becomes 100th, 200ths, 300ths, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and when I get to 10 hundredths, that's the same as 1/10, because I could write this 10 hundredths as 1/10, and they're the same. So this is 1/10 as a decimal. I can write it 1/10 like this, or 10 hundredths, because if I knocked off these zeros, it's the same as 1/10. Well, these hundredths are kind of squished together in here. So I'm going to put my 100th right here, my 200ths right here, my 300ths, my 400ths, 500ths, all the way to 900ths. And when I get to my 10 hundredths, again, that's the same as my 1/10, written as 0.1. Now you were expected to know that from last year or the year before. So this year we're going to focus on thousandths. So if I wanted thousandths, I'd have to put 1,000 little tick marks in here. They wouldn't fit. So first I blew them up into tenths. Then I blew my 10th up into hundredths. Now I'm going to take this little 100th right here, 1/100th, and blow it up into 10 thousandths. So there's 1 1,000th, 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths, etc. So in between 0 and 1/100th, which is 10 thousandths, because I could write this as 0.010. Putting a 0 on the end doesn't change it. So now I have my thousandths number line. To try and show why blowing up the number lines is helpful for being more accurate, we're going to take the number 6 thousandths. When you read a number, you read this like a normal digit, and you say the last place value it's in. So since we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, we say 6 and then thousandths, because that's where it ends. So if I was going to put 6 thousandths on this number line, well, 6 thousandths is less than 1, because 1 is 1,000 thousandths. So 6 is going to be so tiny, it's not even going to be before the first mark on there. So I've got to put this 6 thousandths really close to 0 in here. On the next number line, that counts by tenths, I don't even have the numbers 2, 3, all the way to 10 on this number line. They're way over here. So now between 0 and 1, this is 1/10, which is the same as 100 thousandths, which looks like this, 100 thousandths. but I want 6 thousandths. Well, if this is 100, 6 is still going to be way back over here, really close to 0. I haven't improved a whole lot, making my number line more accurate. On the next number line, this one only goes to 1/10, and all of these 2/10 to 1 are way over here now that we can't even see. So in here, this is tenths, hundredths, so this is 1/100th, or if I stick a 0 on the end, it's 10 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, which looks like this. So this time 6 thousandths is actually my 6th mark here, because I have 1 thousandths, 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths, 5 thousandths, 6 thousandths would actually be this dot right after halfway, which my pen's too big, but you can kind of see it's right after halfway there. And then finally, on the last number line, I blew up from just this little spot, so all of these numbers are way over here, and this is already counting by thousandths. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 1 thousandth, 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths. This time, my 6 thousandths is right there. So this number line is the most accurate because I can see that it's not just smack at 0. These were really hard to read up here, these first two. This one got a little bit easier, but this one's really easy to see where it is. You try. See if you can touch the iPad where 9 thousandths would go on each of the 3 or the 4 number lines. Again, I'm going to go ahead and write 1,000 thousandths here for 1, so it's easier to see where 9 thousandths goes. And since this is 1,000 all the way to here, the 9 thousandths again is going to be way back here, somewhere between the 0 and the first tick mark. So it's going to be kind of hard to see. And on the second number line, this is 1/10, but if I put 2 more zeros on it, that's 100 thousandths. So 9 thousandths is still way back before the 10 thousandths, but it's really close to the first tick mark, just not quite there. And again, I'm having a hard time drawing it with the pen because the first tick mark would be like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hundredths, or 50 thousandths, 90 thousandths, 100 thousandths. On the next number line down, I put a 0 here so I can find thousandths again. So this is 10 thousandths. So this time I can use my tick marks because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to make my mark on the 9th tick mark, and that would be my 9 thousandths. And on the last number line, it's really easy to see because I have 9 thousandths right over here. So that is my 9 thousandths, which looks like 0.009. So 1 1,000th as a fraction looks like 1 1,000th as a decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and in number and word form is 1,000th. We have 30 thousandths as a fraction, 30 tenths, hundredths, thousandths as a decimal, and 30 thousandths as number and word form. You try 45 thousandths and 60 thousandths. 45 thousandths has to end in the thousandths place, so it ends here, and I need a 0 to make it stretch there. And so that would be 45, the number, and the word thousandths. And the next one, 60 thousandths has to end in the thousandths, so I put my 60 over here, fill in a 0, and that equals 60 thousandths. This place value chart has 2, 4, 6, 8 counters in the thousandths column, so I can write this as 0.008, or I can write it as 8 over 1,000, or I can write it as 8 thousandths. you do the bottom one. How would you write this one? Pause the video. This one would be 0 ones. Our decimal goes here. And then 1, 10, 300ths, and 5 thousandths. I would read that 135, and it ends in the thousandths, so 135 thousandths. I could also write it as 135 over 1,000 or 135 thousandths.